some very critical pronouncement, which will be taken up by the legislators in Parliament, that we had a very prohibitive law in this country, which was saying that if you are going to invest here in the ICT industry, you must have a Kenyan, a local, who has 30%. Now, clearly, before you start, you're already ceding 30%. That was clearly a law that was misplaced and misapplied. If you want to encourage investors, let us make the environment better. And then when they are here, now they can either eventually, through the stock exchange and others, allow Kenyans to also be part of the business. But we should not, ab initio, at the very beginning, be obstacles in encouraging investment into the country. So these are the issues that are being talked about here, and I think the ministry is running. So we are happy and we wish them well. Thank you.
Your Excellency, then after this, we will request you with your guests to take a brief seat so that we can set up for a group photo. Then we'll kindly request you, the judges, to rejoin us here for a group photo.
Okay. Today I'll not talk politics. No politics. If it is about this, yeah.
So, in regards to what you have just said, and I know the President has pronounced himself on this issue, do we have any timelines that we are working with in terms of eliminating or repealing the digital tax law that is 1.5%? And then number two, this digitization and digitalization of government services, do we have any rough amount as to how much we're likely to spend on this process? And then the other issue is, I know it has been a thorny issue with the county governments charging, some counties even charging as high as 25,000 shillings per kilometer of laying the fiber optic cable. We have had it from El Omar County. They are working on a way of abolishing that. Is this likely to be a policy in government?
Yeah, I mean, I'll address something, and then I think I'll allow them to do the more technical aspects of the questions they raise. In terms of the policy environment, we cannot continue being obstacles, all right? And whether it's county governments, your revenue-raising mechanism is not by blocking the laying of a fiber cable. That is again misplaced. You know, you're better off having that in the place, and then let it generate business for you. Let it provide better opportunities. You can then raise revenue from the businesses that are thriving, but you do not become an obstacle. You know, you can imagine if somebody said we must block and tax because a road is passing through a county. It's national government in collaboration with the county government. They're bringing services to you. So why do you want to obstruct that? So these are the things that end up making doing business here costly. And we will do everything to dismantle it through policy and through legislation.
O'Brien, thank you very much. On legislation, we all understand there is a process of bringing about new legislation. Now, so many legislative proposals have been received. Some are originating from government, which shall be coming up as government bills. Others are actually bills that are originating out of Parliament through the Committee on Information and Innovation. And others are even being brought to Parliament through private avenues. Now, the good thing about it is that with the new constitution, every Kenyan has a chance of participating in the making of these new laws. So, Brian, these laws that are being proposed shall come to the floor of the House. They shall then go through a very rigorous process of public participation. But the idea here is to make sure that the laws are expedited and that Parliament does not become an unnecessary hurdle to the actualization of the vision that has been enumerated by none other than His Excellency the President, who has become a big champion of this sector. You realize that the move towards digitization of government services alone is itself a massive, massive step forward. To the naysayers also on the issue of privatization, we've got to also understand what the Prime CS has said in his key address about the journey of this sector throughout the years. At the turn of the millennium, the end of the late 90s coming into the new millennium, there was a monolith corporation in the name of Kenya Post and Telecommunications Corporation. If there had not been efforts to privatize, we now would not be talking of a vibrant sector as we are seeing it today. So the policies that are being muted, the laws that are being muted, the regulations that are being muted are towards making sure that this is a sector that becomes a big contributor to the GDP because it has that potential to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll respond to the issue of digital tax. The President pronounced that we will consider new options of taxing digital, and we are considering the issue of OECD. So there are progressions in discussions on moving from the digital tax to OECD structure of taxing digital. So meanwhile, the 1.5% digital tax will continue as the country prepares now to adopt a new program. On the equity share process, that one is still discussion. There is under the policy, and discussions are in place, working with my colleague PS Kisiangani to see that by end of this financial year, June, we should have that in place, but it will take through all the process that is required, including public participation. In funding of the entire digital master plan, our estimation when we developed the digital master plan is that for us to achieve a digitally fully connected country, to have fiber to every ward, to ensure fully digitalized government, our estimation is about 500 billion shillings, but that's initially estimated for over a period of 10 years. But we are looking at creative and innovative ways that we do not need necessarily to use public sector funding. We are discussing on how we can work with private sector to attract other investors, and during the AmCham week we also had discussions with our technology partners and potential investors from US and across the world on how they can play a role in this great opportunity of digitalization and building our connectivity.
Thank you very much.
Let me just clarify something else over and above what the PS has said. I know the concern is that perhaps we are going to put pressure on the exchequer in the course of digitalization. We are looking at systems which are self-financing, so that as you consume the services as a member of the public, based on what you pay, a proportion of it is plowed back into the system, and that is what we use for additional digitalization and digitization processes. So it's not going to be an extra drain on the exchequer. We are looking at systems which are self-financing.
Are there perhaps government bodies within the ICT sector that are for privatization?
That is outside the theme of this meeting. Yeah. That's outside the theme of this meeting.
Thank you.
I think the other thing that you just need to note, which is relevant to this meeting, is how the media can use the expanding space at the digital level to do good business. You know that you are almost collapsing because you have not digitized properly. So what opportunities do you find in such a meeting that would likely make you start improving your revenues? And I think the government is willing to help you move to that space.
So,
Come back for the photo session. Briefly, just set up. Hey, Mazi.